Blink and you miss it, ladies and gentlemen. It is already that time of the year once again because, well, it feels like yesterday we went through my predictions for the 2022 NRL season. Gosh, I'm getting old. But here we are, 2023 is around the corner. The first two trial games are over and the pre-season challenge starts this weekend. So, as a man who doesn't take much of trials into account, why not jump on the bandwagon early, get a bit more views like every other YouTuber, and do my predictions now. Last year we did 10 predictions, but this year we are smashing it. I'm going to be giving you 20 of my predictions for the 2023 NRL season, from Dally M winners to the premiers to the wooden spooners, and then at the end of the video I'll give you guys my top 8. So settle in, this might be a bit of a longer video than my usual ones because, well, it may be the most anticipated video of the year. So ladies and gentlemen, if you have not already, smash that like button. If you do go on to enjoy this video, subscribe to the channel if you are new. You can't be the footy fan not subscribe to Paddy G ahead of what is sure to be one hell of a 2023 NRL season. Drop your predictions down below. Drop me your boldest prediction. Let me know in that comment section down below, and let's get straight into arguably the most important, in quotation marks, video of the year. Now, last year we started with the wooden spooners, which were the Tigers, and I got that one right, thank you. But this year, it's 2023, it's time to go big, and it's time to go big early. Who are my premiers for 2023? Well, it's not going to shock many people.
Grab that premiership trophy, celebrate with your team. Ladies and gentlemen, Telstra NRL champions, the Penrith Panthers.
The Penrith Panthers cement a dynasty. I think the Penrith Panthers get the three-peat, the 3 premierships in a row for the first time, and I don't even know. Surely someone will be out there. Maybe it was the Parramatta Eels in the 80s, the last side that won 3 premierships in a row, and I'm predicting that Nathan Cleary, Jerome Luai, Isaiah Yeo can get the job done. They can get that three-peat. A lot of people seem to think that because the Roosters didn't, that this Penrith side can't. The big difference between the two sides is that even that Roosters side that went back-to-back and nearly went the three-peat was they always had a game where they would lose and they would struggle. The only time this Penrith side loses is when Cleary gets sent off. It's during Origin period or a team plays the best game they have all year. In 2022, the only real loss the Penrith Panthers had was against the Eels at home, and the year before, the only loss they really had was the Rabbitohs in that first week of the finals. This side never loses. In 2022, Jerome Luai lost 1 game for Penrith, and in 2021, Nathan Cleary lost 1 game for Penrith. This rugby league side, I think, cement themselves as one of the best ever, if not the best ever, certainly of the NRL era. I know they lose Appy, I know they lose Kickout, but I think Mitch Kenny can come in and do a job, and I think that they have plenty of back rowers. Whether they go Luke Garner, whether Sorensen starts, I think they're good enough. But the main reason I think they're not going to drop off is because Cleary's going to be a year older, Luai's going to be a year older. Imagine the confidence someone like Dylan Edwards is going to have. It's Stephen Crichton's final year at the club. Isaiah Yeo's a year older. This side is crazy. We forget how young they are, and I'm honestly nervous because maybe if they get the three-peat and they all stay relatively healthy and together, then maybe they go for 4th. But look, I don't want to think about 2024 because 2023 hasn't even started yet, but my prediction for the 2023 premiers is the Penrith Panthers. But who will be their biggest challenger? My runner-ups, the team that I think Penrith will beat in the grand final for 2023 are the Sydney Roosters. Yes, I know, boring. It was the grand final I picked last year. I don't think I've ever seen a side who has that many superstars that it actually proves to be a detriment, and now they've added the Dally M dummy half of the year. Plus, Suaalii is going to be a year older. They sort of figured out late last year if it wasn't for that, brawl at Trelliant Stadium when they lost to the Rabbitohs in that finals game. If this Roosters side, if Trent Robinson can find a way that unlocks the best out of them all and they can work as a cohesive unit, then I think they're every chance of beating the Penrith Panthers. In my opinion, this Roosters side on paper is probably better 1-17 than the Penrith Panthers. It's just if they can get their side together and get them working as a unit. Like I said, I think they're the only team that can realistically beat a full-strength Panthers side, unless you get an incredible game from Latrell or something spectacular from like Munster or Turbo. I think that the Roosters are the only team who's going to be able to stop Penrith, but it all depends as if Trent Robinson can get this team together. They took so long last year and made them fall into the finals in the bottom half of the 8, and that is what sent them packing week 1. It was a very disappointing end to the year because they found their mojo. Hopefully they can start a little faster in 2023, because if not, then maybe we have to start looking at Robbo. But that's enough success talk. Let's look at the bottom of the ladder, and this is not really a controversial opinion, but my wooden spooners for 2023 are the St. George Illawarra Dragons. Ben Hunt, he isn't a superhero. Last year, he put together one of the best seasons I think a Dragons player has ever put. He went into the Dally M Awards as the favourite to take out the award, and they still finished 11th. They've added no new signings for 2023. In fact, they've actually lost a couple players, and now they've lost Amone, Sullivan, and Jack Bird. That number 6 jersey seems cursed. I just don't see it. They're an old squad. There's so much pressure on Anthony Griffin. Unless Ben Hunt can improve even more and Jack Bird can come into that number 6 and start firing, Tyrell Sloan becomes the player that we all thought he could have been a year ago. Zach Lomax fix up his errors. Moses Sully, they can combine to be one of the best center combos in the competition. They've got a decent forward pack, but I think there are at least 12 that are better than the Dragons. So unfortunately, Dragons fans, I think that 2023, it ain't going to be the best season for ya. I know they're probably sick to death of hearing people talk about them getting the spoon, but Ben Hunt, he isn't Spider-Man. He's no Peter Parker. He's no Tony Stark. If he is, then that would be incredible. I don't think the Dragons have any chance of even getting out of the bottom 4, and that's why they're my pick for the dreaded wooden spoon. And with that is the man I just mentioned, because I think Anthony Griffin will be one of 2 coaches that will be sacked or let go rather in 2023. Now, I don't like to talk about people losing their jobs, but Anthony Griffin, I don't think he's got much of a future at the Dragons. There's one other coach that I think will be gone, and that is Adam O'Brien. When your board comes out and says you've got 5 weeks to make an impact or you're gone, it shows me that the club obviously doesn't see you in their long-term plans. I don't know why clubs do this. He's either the right coach or he's not. A cheap few wins to start the season isn't going to change that. I do not. Knights and Adam O'Brien, the Kalen Ponga 5-8 experiment is one that I'm predicting will not work. Not really because of Kalen Ponga, but I feel like when the Knights struggle at the start of the season, if they do that, old habits are going to kick in and Kalen Ponga will be moved back to fullback. More so for his protection than anywhere else. If you get him that many concussions, and look, he's really only one away from a retirement discussion really being brought to the table, then I don't know why you get moved in the front line. We've seen teams target him like the Raiders did in GIO last year, where they target him because they know of his history, and you're going to put him in the front line on the edge where he's going to have to tackle some of the best back rowers in the competition. Good luck. Good luck. I don't think the 5-8 experiment will last long. I think Lockie Miller, he may end up back on the wing and they might lose Dom Young, but I'm not predicting that. All I'm predicting is that Kalen Ponga will be back at fullback by Origin. At the very least, by the Origin Game 1. Keeping the themes with teams that will struggle in 2023, I think that the Brisbane Broncos are still another year away from finals football. I know a lot of people aren't going to like this take because they were in the top 4 with 6 weeks to go. They are a great side on paper, but I feel like there's some cultural issues at the Broncos holding them back. Their team is better, and when you consider they were in the top 4, like I said, after round 19 last year, you'd think there'd be a lock for the 8. I just think that it's more the fact there are just some teams that are still better than the Broncos that are going to keep them out of the top 8. I think that Kevy will stay. I know there's been a lot of chat about him. There's so much unrest, it seems, at the Broncos. The culture, it still seems like Kevy hasn't been able to fix it from the days where Anthony Seabolt was at the club. I think the Broncos won't make the top 8, and there's another team that I don't think will make the top 8, and I know their fans are big viewers of my channel because of my doggies career mode, because I don't think the Bulldogs are making the top 8 in 2023. Every year, and I know I'm going to get ridiculed for not having them in the 8, but every year they add more signings. I don't put them in the 8 just yet, and I get ridiculed by the Bulldogs faithful in that comment section, which, you know, I respect because you want to see your team in that top 8. But every year, I still predict them higher than where they end up finishing. Yes, I know they've added Marnie. Yes, I know they've added Kicker. But last year, they added Burton and they added the Fox, and they were still down there. Now, Reed Marnie, he's another spine player. So Burton and Marnie are going to be very well together. I think they'll be miles ahead of where they started the 2022 season. But I still think they're going to be just outside of the teams around the top 8. I still think there's some teams that are better than the Bulldogs in 2023. So that's why I can't have them in the top 8. I think 2024, definitely the year. Look, if the Bulldogs made the 8, I won't be shocked. I just think there's a few teams ahead of them because this top 8 is so hard to predict. I just didn't have room for the Broncos or the Bulldogs. But now, moving on to a first-timer, the Dolphins are the new side for 2023. And while I could just sit here and be boring and predict they don't get the wooden spoon, that they're going to finish bottom 4, I don't think they're going to be real exciting on the field. I think Wayne gets them away from the wooden spoon, but I don't think they can get much higher than 14th. But my prediction for the Dolphins is that they're not going to have a marquee signing for 2024. I feel like this may go on longer than just the 2023 season. We've already seen Latrell, Dylan Brown, Cameron Munster all re-sign this past off-season, and I think the Dolphins, they're going to save up a bit more cap room, and they're going to have to wait till the next bunch of players come off contract in November 1. Look, it's a decent side, to say the very least, but I still think they're a superstar, a few away, actually, if you think about it. I mean, it's just not a good roster, is it? Unfortunately, it might be with the Dragons the worst roster on paper, but they just don't have Ben Hunt and a slightly better forward pack, I guess, the Dolphins. But I don't think they're going to have a marquee signing for 2024. I'm sorry, Wayne. I don't know whether you've lost your magic or what's going on. But the Dolphins, I feel like this is going to go on longer than everyone thinks. And maybe the NRL has to step in here because the Dolphins, I don't think are going to be contending for a final spot at this rate anytime soon. But keeping on the trend with signings, if you follow me on TikTok, then you know I've already said this, but I'm going to use it again as one of my predictions for this video. I predicted KP would sign with the Dolphins. That didn't eventuate. But I'm going to predict that Mitchell Moses will sign with the West Tigers for 2024. Now, I bet that on the day of this video that he's already re-signed with the Eels, but I don't see Mitchell Moses at the Eels in 2024. I feel like the Eels know that their premiership window has been closed, at least temporarily, and why keep when you're on the cheap? And he can be that starting halfback, he can be that controlling halfback, give the keys to Dylan Brown. It makes all the sense in the world. You can save a bit of cap room because they're going to need to re-sign a few more players who are coming off contract, like Clinton Gutherson. But to me, it's just the right decision. If they can keep him for around 1, maybe 1.1, then I can do it. Then I can see him staying at the Eels. But there's no way the Eels should be matching if the Tigers are willing to go up to 1.4 or 1.5. The cap has gone up, so maybe the $1 million play isn't worth what it once was. But I don't think Mitchell Moses will be the blue and gold in 2024. I think maybe he and Brooksy reunite for one last fairy tale. But speaking of signings that have already happened, my prediction for the 2023 buy of the year, it's going to be Api Coruscant. The West Tigers have struggled to recruit for so long. Yes, they got one of the top 3 back rowers, but in my opinion, they have been able to sign the best dummy half in the NRL. And unfortunately, now this is sort of a dig at the Tigers, but also praise to Api. I can see him being the Ben Hunt of the Tigers. What I mean is he has to carry that side because he looks so much better than every other player on that football team. I think Api's going to do wonders for the Tigers. I still don't think that they're going to be in the finals just yet. However, I don't think they're going to finish bottom 4 like a lot of people do. Their forward pack is just too good. A lot of it's going to come down to the halves, but if anyone's going to be able to get the best out of both Adam Dawahi and Luke Brooks, it's going to be the best dummy half in the competition. And wouldn't shock me if Api can still hang on to that New South Wales number 9 jersey. And speaking of players who are going to have terrific years, let's jump straight into the biggest individual award, the Dally M Medal. Now, my prediction for this all off season has been Latrell Mitchell because I think he and the Bunnies are in for an awesome 2023 season. But I think it's finally time that Nathan Cleary got his hands on that Dally M Medal. He was robbed 1 year because of suspension. The other year he was done by the greatest individual season of all time. And then he probably should have won it in 2020 with the greatest respect to one of the gods in Jack Whiten. But Nathan Cleary, if Penrith are going to be as good as I think they are for another year in a row, as long as he can come out of Origin period healthy and he doesn't want to put any more 5/8s on their heads like he did to poor Dylan Brown, then I think Nathan Cleary will walk away with the Dally M Medal for 2023. It's one of the few things he's yet to accomplish, and I think that Cleary, being a year older, being in that Penrith system, I think it's his time. I think it's his time to grab that medal, and I think Nathan Cleary will be a Dally M medalist this time next year. As I said, Latrell Mitchell was my biggest pick all off-season to win the Dally M medal, but he wasn't the only one in contention because I think that Tommy Turbo comes back with a bang. I think Tommy's going to play 15 plus games. He's come back from the US. He's hungrier than he is ever, and this may be more wishful thinking because we know Tommy's history. It hasn't been great. In 2021, he only played 15 games, so for me to say he's going to get more than 15, maybe people will roll their eyes, but I have faith. This is more of a wish than it is a prediction. But he's the only player in the NRL who we really hold the injuries back from talking about how great he is, which is such a shame. We don't think about Cleary, we don't think about Tedesco, we don't think about Tamalolo getting injured, but for some reason, wherever we're talking about Manly, we have to talk about Tommy getting injured. I hope for his sake he has a great 2023, because 2022 wasn't the greatest. It wasn't even his hamstring. The poor dude got injured for the season. So hopefully he can stay fit, not just for Manly's sake, but also for New South Wales Blues and just the NRL in general. He makes Manly a powerhouse, and I think that Tommy Turbo will stay fit in 2023. If he does, I guess it's hard to see him not winning the Dally M medal, but hey, look, I can't be totally 100% biased, alright? But we've been talking Latrell, it's time to talk about the South Sydney Rabbitohs, and I think that outside of Penrith and the Roosters, they're probably third in line to win the premiership in 2023. However, and I kind of don't want this to sound like a bad thing, but it's gonna. I think the Rabbitohs are going to lose another prelim final, and I know a lot of people are going to laugh, and it's sort of becoming a problem, but at the end of the day, to make as many prelim finals as they have in a row, it's such an accomplishment. Yes, they can't get to the grand final, they're still yet to win the big one when you're finishing top 4 all the time, and you still can't win a premiership. It's been nearly 9 years since you've won one, considering how much success you've had. Maybe it's an issue, but at the end of the day, the only prelim final they've ever been favourites for was against Manly, and they absolutely pumped them. They were an Adam Reynolds conversion away and an intercept away from winning the 2021 premiership. You add Latrell Mitchell to that. I know they've lost Adam Reynolds, but God, I don't know how they've somehow managed to make that decision look like a smart one. Lockie Ilias is going to be a year older. Cody Walker was still great in 2022. I don't want to hear anything about it. As long as they can find that left centre, then this Bunnies side will be a force in 2023 like I'm predicting they are. I don't want to sound like a dick, but I think they lose another prelim final, but I still think it's going to be a great year for the Borough. But as you've probably noticed, with the Roosters and the Rabbitohs making their way into my top 4, there's one team that's going to have to fall out, and it's between two. I think you're all probably asking yourselves, which one's it going to be? And for the longest time this offseason, I thought it was the Sharks. But I think the North Queensland Cowboys are going to be the one of those two sides that falls out of the top 4 in 2023. They had a remarkable 2022 season. They only used about 20 players until Origin time. They got very lucky. They've been very lucky with the draw again. But you know what they say? You make your own luck. They probably should be coming off a grand final appearance because Mitchell Moses decided that he was going to become Tom Brady. But I don't think people are talking about the loss of Tom Gilbert as much as they should. On top of that, Chad Townsend, he's going to be a year older. Valentine Holmes, he's going to be a year older, although I think he could probably even have a better season. The bright side for the Cowboys is that they now know their spine. There was a lot of unrest around positions this offseason last year. I just don't know if the Cowboys can get the same amount of luck. And I don't like using that word because I truly believe that in this world, you make your own luck. But like I said with the Broncos, like I said with the Bulldogs, I just don't have room for the Cowboys inside that top 4. So unfortunately, I think the North Queensland Cowboys will regress. I don't think it's doom and gloom. I still think that they're going to win a premiership inside the next few years. I just think that maybe they're going to win it when maybe Tommy Dearden moves into the 7 and Townsend and a few of these older guys move on. Tamalolo's also going to be a year older. Look, it's just gut. But maybe the Cowboys prove me wrong and win the premiership. That's totally right, and maybe the Dragons make the grand final, because these are just predictions. As smart as I am not a psychic. Now, my final prediction for 2023 isn't really NRL, it's more rugby league, and we'll talk about this later when it comes to that 6-week period. But I'm predicting right now that New South Wales sweep the 2023 Origin Series. I'm sick of Queensland. I hate them, and that's my only reason. But if Tommy and Latrell are fit, then there's no reason why New South Wales aren't winning the series. And after how embarrassing they were in 2022 and in 2020, then I think they go in for the kill. Now, if they lose with both Tommy and Trell and Cleary and Teddy again, then I think we have to start asking questions about Freddie. Look, we'll cover this more when we get to Origin, but I'm predicting right now that the Blues sweep the 2023 Origin Series. So there you have it, my 20 predictions for the 2023 NRL season. Do you agree with them? Do you not? Let me know in that comment section down below. But it's time to get into my ladder. Now, I haven't covered every team, so we're going to cover all 7 teams as briefly as we can in the final part of this video, because damn me. So let's get straight into it. The Wooden Spooners. I've got the Dragons because Ben Hunt isn't Superman. I've got the Dolphins in 16th. Wayne Bennett Magic is going to help them avoid the wooden spoon. 15th, I have the Knights. I've got written down here season over early. 14th, I've got the Warriors. Some improvement, but they're still a few years away. Entering the middle half of the bottom 8, I've got the Titans, who I think will improve, but they're still a fair way away. In 12th, I've got the Tigers. I think they'll be big improvers. I think they'll cause a few upsets, but I just think the halves let them down. In 11th, I've got the Broncos. Great on paper, but still their culture gives me question marks. I've got the Bulldogs in 10th. I still think they're just 1 year away. In 9th, I've got the Raiders, and I've just got written down here, best of the rest, but no improvements. Entering the top 8, I've got the Cowboys in 8th. I've got late season slumps written down. 7th, I've got the Eels, who will be adjusting to new life and will struggle early before a late season surge. I've got the Storm in 6th. I think if Pappenhausen is fit, they make the top 4, but I'm just not convinced that Puppy's going to be back for even half of 2023. In 5th, I've got Manly. Tommy Turbo fit. Don't laugh at me. Remember 2021? Just remember that before you ridicule me. Fourth, I've got the Sharks. I think they'll stay the exact same side, but Nico Hines will be even better. In third, I've got the Roosters, the biggest threat to Penrith. In second, I've got the Rabbitohs, close but not close enough. And my minor premiers for 2023, doing the double, are the Penrith Panthers, who I've just got written down, are unbeatable. But guys, there are all 17 teams. There is my ladder. There are 20 predictions for the 2023 NRL season. This was one of the longest videos of all time, but I hope you enjoyed, guys. Smash that like button if you did enjoy the video. Leave a comment down below. What are your predictions for the 2023 NRL season? Thank you so much for watching, guys. 2023 is going to be a huge year on my channel, so make sure you are subscribed, please. Come on. You don't want to be the guy who's not subscribed to the page of YouTube channel who goes to the footy. Come on. You're better than that. But thank you so much, guys. Feel free to smash me or agree with me in that comment section down below. Enjoy 2023. Enjoy the trials next weekend. And I promise the videos will be coming back to a normal schedule. Alright, thank you guys. Do the big three. And I'll see you in the next one.
And another thing I'm discovering lately, I'm a bit crazy for my rugby league team. Now the stage is set for the best season yet, you'll see.